Welcome back to Token Watch. It's been a while, obviously, but I wanted to take a little bit of a break post the whole kind of million token thing. I had this idea that I would just kind of keep the train rolling, but I thought it was good to make a video, and I don't know how many of these types of videos are out there, um, kind of explaining what happens after you have a really big win in crypto. So obviously, I watched Tech Lead, and this was my besides just using BlockFi to put money, passive kind of investment money into Ethereum and Bitcoin, and a few other coins, some gaming tokens, but more long term investments. This was my first like moonshot speculative, don't really know where it's going to go type crypto. And I watched the Tech Lead video. I saw him put it out, and I chucked initially. I think it was 150 bucks in. That 150 bucks. Then actually, let me pull up the chart and kind of walk you through it. So I don't even know if yeah, this won't have the initial days here of when it started out. I think Uniswap is the best place to go. Let's see. Let's see if this has the full kind of. Actually, I don't even know. Can you look at historical data on Uniswap? Maybe CoinGecko. Okay. Yeah, so this is pretty solid. Well, it's even higher here, but anyways, I bought into Million Tech with 150 bucks at $1, and basically was kind of just interested to see what happened, and didn't really think much of it. Was just interested to be part of the ride and saw potential in someone who had an existing audience and good credibility and the whole thing, launching a token. And so I put in 150 bucks. And when the token hit $5, so 5x, I withdrew everything because I was just so ecstatic, and this was my first investment, and I was, in speculative investment in crypto and or smaller cap project, I guess. And then as I kind of saw it rally upwards towards like 10, 13, 11, I bought back in, and I bought back in, and I got back out whatever it was. I think so. My total spend in the end was about $450, right? And I think it was like 300 and something tokens, or was it 100 and? Let me see. I can actually look at my phone. Let's look at the thing here. Million token. Okay, so I had 132 tokens. So you can kind of see my transaction history here. Let me close this. So I had bought $120 worth initially, now worth 4.9K, but was worth way higher. Then a couple days later, or a day later rather, when it 5x'd, I withdrew 60, and then I withdrew another 60, worried. And I bought back in 37. So in the end, when I ended up selling, on July 14th. Let's see if I can focus this. I ended up selling, anyways, 132 tokens, which netted me about $24,000 on a total spend of under 500. And it was weird. It was like a really weird feeling of, holy shit, like I just made, however many X my normal month's salary, where I put in all this work, and all I did was just find this token that from someone I just, randomly follow, and 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever X'd my money. I'm terrible with that type of math. And I walked away with 23 grand, 24 grand, closer to 24 grand. And I got a new car. My girlfriend and I bought a new car. I paid off some student loan. I paid off another loan. I put $6,000 in a bank account just to live off here in Canada. And then I had 3.5K or about 4K more to just trade with in my crypto account. And with that 4K or 3.5K, which I ended up adding to, I basically had the idea that I would turn that 3.5. I mean, my assumption was I started with 400, right, in total with Million Token and turned it into 23 grand, 24 grand. If I have 3K to start with or 4K to start with, like, sky's the limit. And through a series of, so over the last 2 weeks, basically, I've taken my, 4K and it's gone up to as high as 11K. It's come down to 8. It's gone to 10, then it's come down to 6, then it's been, but it's like, it's still net positive. And the other day I'm looking at this token, Revomon, and Revomon is just like, looks so great, right? It's just like, so, ignore, so I'm looking at it and it looks like this, basically. Actually, when I got in, it was more looking like this. And everything's super great about this project, like, Ethereum coin, which I like, doxed team, unique offering, VR Pokemon type game, release on August 1st, like super well developed, active in the community, like all of these great indicators. And so off the back of some investments in, I'll show you on my watch list, because I had money in Decentraland, Engine, Sandbox, Axie, Gala, and that's it. And those basically boosted me up almost double. So I had like doubled or tripled my money at that point. I see Revomon. I see it launching on August 1st, similar to Fear, where I got burned a little bit. And I go, actually, let me rewind, because that's not fair. Vibe and Fear were both, Fear was actually my first one. I made a previous video on it. Had a similar situation. I had gone in on Fear around here, so it was looking like this. And, thought it was going to be the next big thing. The launch was coming up on July something, I forget the date. And it's climbing. I'm making money the whole thing. It's stuck at 2, and it goes below 2, then it goes back above 2. I'm making money the whole thing. And then it just drops. I had this huge drop. I think it was this one right here. It's better in the 3-month view. I think it was this one right here. Like, it went gone up to 2 and it just ate it all the way down to 1.13. Like, 50% loss, 60, 70% loss. And then I went and I joined in this one called Vibe Token, which had a similar scenario. And then I go to Revomon, and everything looks different about this. The team's doxed, everything, the whole thing. I put in 9 grand into Revomon, thinking that it was a similar situation to Million. What made me all my money? Million made me all my money. One single token. It wasn't this diversified concept. It wasn't this idea of like having coins spread out into multiple things that are have, one has a 2x potential, one has a 10x potential, but generally it's like it's weighed so that you're mitigating some risk, but still exposing yourself to some good upside. I go 9 grand into Revomon, and just to back it up, this is what Revomon decides to do 2 days ago. It absolutely shit the bed, and is down 40% plus upon launch day. And I think there's 2 kind of things I want to talk about. One is, it is absolutely clear to me, given my experience with these game launches, that they never go the way you think they're going to go. Unless it's a mass adoption Fortnite type game, Axie Infinity, like everyone can download it, everyone can play it, the game's amazing, the money is immediate, like everything's perfectly well set up. The hype built before these like alpha launches and beta launches just don't pan out the way you think they're going to pan out. So if you're in any coin that's attached to a game launch that's like an alpha or a beta launch, not a full-scale launch, and it hasn't been established, and they don't have a great team, and there hasn't been a lot of people playing it, be very wary. I'm not saying this is the case with every game, but all the games I've now gotten into, this is the case. So my 9 grand goes to like 4 grand. And for me, with having spent the money on the car from the million token and put some in the bank that we've been spending on rent and life and the whole thing, and sinking a paycheck, a full paycheck of my last paycheck into this, seeing it just get eaten up right away was a pretty humbling experience, and a tough pill to swallow in what I thought was a pretty doxed game in terms of, like, I had looked into it, it looked solid, all the fundamentals seemed all right, the whole thing. So I just want to say, and I guess the kind of moral of the story here is it is very dangerous for your very first exposure into crypto to be an 100x. And it's almost a bad thing because now all I do is sit there and look for these insane million token esque rides and realize that I have this idea now in my head that it's the rule, right, not the exception. And so instead of just going 100 in or 200 in or 300 in and whatever, um, I go all in, and I've been burned 3 times now, and somehow managed to still have my money. I'm sitting about 4K after being up at 11, and I could have just taken it all out or taken a serious chunk out and stuck it in ETH or anything like that. Um, but and if I continue on this path, I can see how I'm just going to run out of money and lose all of it. And so I see how this market eats investors like me for breakfast. And I think having that initial kind of success with Million Token was very dangerous and very scary. And it's really making me have to take a look at the way I want to invest in this space because yes, I could go all in with 8K and Revomon, and everyone in the Telegram and all the signs are pointing to $10 and turn my 8K into 80K or 100 grand and change my life forever. But um, that's not the case. And 3 mistakes now in, and you know multiple thousands of dollars later, which probably isn't a lot for most people, but for me it is. Seeing the writing on the wall right now, I just wanted to kind of make this video to share this with people and let them know that you have to be very careful with having one initial success and set yourself up for a strategy where you're comfortable with the potential losses you can take. So if it's something that it's almost like anything that you think can go 100x, there's a 90% chance it's going to go, it's going to lose 80% in the next couple of days. So just have a certain amount of money in there that you're willing to withdraw, or sorry, that you're willing to lose. And another good rule of thumb is have a number in your head in terms of what a solid return is on this money. So if you put in 500 bucks on an investment and in the next couple of days or next day or hours even it shoots up and you have this, it turns into a K, for example. I know it sounds stupid, and I've been in the spot where my girlfriend was asking me, she's like, "Why don't you just take out your initial investment in Million Token? Why don't you just take out this?" Like, "Oh, I'm reducing my upside," and with that coin, it proved itself where it made sense. Like, well, it didn't make sense, but it ended up benefiting me to keep everything in the whole way, all the way up to 200. Like, I should have taken out 5 grand at 100, and there were like 2 grand here and 2 grand, like, but yeah, it was weird in that like it just kept going up, and I managed to somehow time relative to the top. I didn't catch the exact top. I ended up selling around 190 something. Um, but just have a number in your head, and don't be in the long run. Look, if you make your life, if you turn around and make $1 million or hundreds of thousands of dollars from a trade, do whatever you want, obviously. But if you end up making 20 grand or 10 grand or whatever, like you know and you're playing with a couple $1,000s after with these types of trades, like just have a number in your head of like, okay, if I make 30% on this or 50% on this, or if I 100% on this, I'm going to take my initial investment out or a solid chunk out, because you're going to need to protect your initial and your base. So just a tale of caution from someone who had a massive win as their first bout into altcoins, and is now looking to basically replicate it, and it's just not happening. Instead, I'm getting spanked. Um, and in fact, I've been spanked 3 times now by these coins, and it just makes you realize that you know there's just a huge portion of this which is luck. So be careful out there, and think about your money. Like, there's and you'll hear this a million times. If it can go 100x up, it can go 100x down type thing. So just be careful out there.